Hey, Ramesh, hello, Zifty. Sam says crypto has too much uncertainty. Right now, I think every market has got too much uncertainty. Why only crypto? We're seeing the same things in on the stock side also. Well, that's way of life. That's the story of investor. Volatility. Any type of investment, we have to brace ourselves with volatility and be ready to handle that volatility. Well, that's my take. All right. So we didn't meet last week, so a lot of stuff to catch up, and kind of lost my rhythm in between because we didn't meet for a week. But hopefully we'll get back to our regular rhythm. So welcome everyone to our crypto meet, where we get together as a group of retail investors and talk about what's happening in the crypto market. What are some interesting projects that we want to explore, or have a discussion around this whole new crypto economy. So treat it like an open forum, open to talk about any topics or anything else. Right?
Vivek, remember you helped me figure out that they were tricking us? It was like this Cardano group. I mean, it's ridiculous. In other words, it looked legitimate, and I mean, I'm sure some people lost a bunch of crypto.
Not some. I've seen this. So we will talk about some of these scams.
So I can't handle that. Thank you.
Yeah, so we got to be careful, and in fact, I'll share my experience over this Thanksgiving weekend. I was driving and then I got into Twitter space. So I'll talk about it. But scams and the scammers are abound in crypto, just because there are not enough of regulations. A lot of things are pseudonymous. You can't go. It's always not possible to go behind the culprits. So the scammers are everywhere. So we got to be really careful. And if something looks too good to be true, it probably is. All right, so let's get with today's discussion. Anything else you want to bring up? Feel free to pitch in, and happy to talk about it. Like I said, want to make it more interactive, but just to keep us engaged, I do pull in some of the content that I see. Maybe we could use some of those topics as a discussion point to talk about crypto. All right. So let's look at, as always, let's look at the weekly funds flow report, just to see where big money is going in, where institutions are putting their money in, even though the day-to-day volatility might be too much for us. And 5% up and down is pretty common, right? 5-10%. It's a way of life in as long as in crypto economy. But even overall, from an institution's perspective, we continue to see inflow. So this is as of last week. Total inflow is again 306 million. Not the one of the highest weekly inflows, but still institutions are continue to put their faith or dollars behind these crypto tokens. And not just this, we also saw the continued interest in the VCs funding a lot of crypto projects. So month to date, it's almost $750 million has gone into crypto assets from institutions. Over the year to date, it's $9.5 billion. So from a big money perspective, institutions, they continue to buy it, or let me put it the right way, the through institutions, the investment is still going into crypto. It could be the retailers buying a trust through an institution, or more importantly, it could be some companies buying it. So again, Bitcoin continues to be, cement its position as the most favored asset among institutions. And this week we saw Polkadot and Solana. They also continued, they again were some of the winners in terms of the investment perspective. So we really look at this particular box. Oops. Hopefully this is visible. So this week, again, Bitcoin and Ethereum are two undisputed leader week over week. And then we saw Solana and Polkadot are two new ones. Now, from a provider perspective, Grayscale is still the trust with the highest asset under management, almost $50 billion. And they've been trying hard to convert the trust into an ETF. I don't think so that's going to happen anytime soon, because even today, SEC rejected another application for a spot Bitcoin ETF. That was from Wisdom Tree. So I don't think any application for an ETF based on spot Bitcoin will be approved anytime sooner by SEC. So we've got a long way to go before that happens. But it's not the most efficient way, but it is a way for companies to get exposure to these crypto assets, mostly Bitcoin, and they're ready to continue to use this route. The purpose is a Canadian investment firm. ProShares is US-based, and ProShares fund is basically invest in Bitcoin ETF, Bitcoin futures, not the spot Bitcoin. So from institutions' perspective, they are still continue to be bullish on overall crypto economy. And we continue to see inflow in on various assets. So that's a quick update on the weekly funds flow report. Any questions? Any thoughts? What do you think? Has anyone invested in the ProShares ETF, BITO? And I think there's one more ETF that after ProShares, there was another one that got released. I think it's a BTF.
Yeah, hey Vivek.
Chris?
Hey, I'm Chris. I can't see any benefit of investing in an ETF where you're just going to pay fees to financial institution when you can invest in Bitcoin directly, or am I missing something?
No, you're right. But not everyone is comfortable in handling or managing this, right? So as a retail investor, I would say we should never invest in especially the future-based ETF, right? It's a worst instrument for a retail investor to take an exposure because of all the issues that we talked about when we actually did a deep dive into the futures ETF. But institutions, some of the institutions, they have no other option. So they'll still go ahead and get exposure through that futures ETF, because for them, okay, something is better than nothing. But you're right, as a retail investor, no, we should not be. But if you're not comfortable, or in terms of, hey, opening an account within a crypto exchange, or if you want to get an exposure in your retirement account, right? So let's say in a retirement account, if you want to get an exposure, maybe GBTC is a route, right? I'm not aware of any traditional retirement account managers actually offering direct crypto investment to them. So in that case, GBTC for Bitcoin ETHE could be a way to hold it in your retirement account. And if it is a Roth retirement account, that's even better, right? And if you're bullish around that, you basically enjoy all the gains if you want to hold it for a long period, and that becomes tax-free. So only in that case, I mean, I would invest in a trust only in a retirement account, because at least I'm comfortable in buying and selling, trading in a spot or the direct asset through crypto exchanges. Everyone may not be. So that's why I just wanted to know, has anyone tried anything else? But I agree with you. That's not a good way to invest. If you can directly buy it and do better is even do self-custody. So Ramesh says, no BITO. You discussed 2 days ago. Yeah, no BITO. It's got so much of a drag built into it. I'm dumping mutual funds and switching to ETF and ETH, GBTC, and few coin. So I do hold ETH, and GBTC in my retirement account, because there is no other way for you to get exposure in the retirement account to this. All in Roth. Yeah, that's even better. Holding in Roth. Sorry, go ahead.
There is a way, I know there's a way you can invest in tokens, and I believe you can invest in crypto with a retirement account. I'm kind of new to crypto. I actually started investigating it about a year ago, but I wound up in the hospital with a serious operation, and I'm still recuperating after 6 months. So I'm just now starting to continue my research. But if you like, I could look into that, and I think I could. It's something I can't really summarize in just 2 minutes. So, but I could somehow connect with you and get you information if you're interested.
I mean, we can talk about it next week also.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, this is an open forum. Maybe you can take time and talk through in terms of what you found out on some retirement providers, IRA providers, which give us exposure to crypto. What I was referring to, for example, the general, Fidelity is the biggest one. People have their 401ks, IRAs with Fidelity. They don't offer it, but maybe there are some specialized one which do, and yeah, will be interested to know about it. Yeah, so maybe next week when we meet, you can spend some time on talking about crypto exposure in IRA accounts. Will be wonderful.
Sure, happy to help you out.
Thanks, Bob. Zifty says, I heard the fee is exorbitant in those IRA custody accounts. Yeah, I don't know, Zifty. So maybe let's wait for Bob's research on this.
Yeah, in this case, the fees wouldn't be too bad. It's way lower than the. Although you still have to wind up going through the exchange to buy the crypto, but in terms of the IRA itself, it's not too bad.
Ramesh says, FID and E-Trade offer GBTC and coin. Yeah, because GBTC and coin, those are all exchange traders. You can just buy it through a regular brokerage account. And that's why any brokerage account, any IRA account you have in which as you can buy any shares on any IRA accounts, then you'll be able to buy GBTC or any of the other Grayscale trust products. I mean, Grayscale has got a bunch of it. They recently announced a product for Solana as well. So I think now they got like 15 different trusts for each of the coins. So you can buy whichever coin you want to get an exposure to that. But no one can stop Michael Saylor. Looks like while Bitcoin, I think last week around when there was all the concerns around Omicron and Bitcoin, there was some weakness on Bitcoin. Michael Saylor continues to buy it. Bought another 7,000, close to 7,000 Bitcoins at an average, I think overall 450 million, if I recall correctly. Got a few more Bitcoins under MicroStrategy. And this is another way for some of the corporate houses to get an exposure to Bitcoin is through these convertible offerings, which MicroStrategy does time to time, because there is these convertible notes from the corporates and buy Bitcoins. I mean, he's the biggest bull with the most conviction in Bitcoin. So, but he continues to buy this. Another 7,000 scooped up. I think El Salvador, they also scooped up another maybe 100 Bitcoins or 150 Bitcoins last week when it fell down to almost 54K or something like that. So yeah, we'll see, you know, at what point of a time does Michael Saylor will take a breather and say, you know, I'm done. To me, it looks like he'll never be done. He just keeps on buying. Interesting note I saw today was Twitter tips with Ethereum. So we already know that Twitter, and we talked about in our previous meetings, that Twitter has added a tips functionality in which you can go ahead and tip someone. And as a form of a payment, they do accept, you know, Venmo, they accept the regular credit cards, and also accept Bitcoin. But some hackers, I would say these are like white hat hackers, they went and tweaked the code and found out that, and basically added their Ethereum address to their profile to get tips via Ethereum. So I don't know whether Twitter is going to launch Ethereum, whether the code was lying there, but wasn't actually released, with somehow hacker tweaked the application to add it. I have no idea, but actually there was a code. I mean, code existed in Twitter, but probably was never exposed or open in the application. But some hackers actually found it, and then I saw a few more added the Ethereum addresses onto their Twitter profile. So it looks like she, Jane Wong, she's actually very famous for doing these kind of things. You know, she finds the features before they are announced. And that's what she did with Twitter, is she figured out a way to add her Ethereum address onto the tip functionality, you know, and then Jack Dorsey came and said, hey, this had been hidden in a production build for some time. The code was there, they never exposed it, but then these hackers, they figured out a way to expose Ethereum. So the main question was as far as Jack Dorsey is concerned, he is considered to be Bitcoin maxi, always focused on Bitcoin. Now he doesn't have to worry about Twitter anymore because he is no longer the CEO of Twitter. So probably will pay more attention to this whole Bitcoin ecosystem. So this was a little surprising you know, that they were having Ethereum, but now he being out of Twitter, it actually might see light of the day. Now the Twitter developers might be able to, you know, accept Ethereum. Now the Twitter management may want to open up and expose even Ethereum for everyone. While Jack was there, who's known to be force behind Bitcoin, they may have some trepidations, saying how to even bring up this topic to Jack, but maybe now they can. So that's an interesting development. Take it what it might be worth. What does it mean for Ethereum? I don't think, apart from just an adoption, one more area in which it could be used. Beyond that, I don't think there's really a huge news from any meaningful price action perspective. But interesting to see that the code has been there around. Maybe with Jack out, the code will also be out in production. We'll see. Another one that caught my eye was, and this is like, it's ridiculous that unfortunately SEC doesn't see and is not approving any spot-based Bitcoin ETFs. So institutions are going out. Fidelity Fidelity Investments, the big Fidelity investment house, it's got more than $6 trillion asset under management, biggest retirement management company in US. They've gone to Canada. And now they're launching a spot Bitcoin based ETF in Canada. I think it already launched, if I'm incorrect. So I was just looking at it. What is this Fidelity Advantage Bitcoin ETF? First, I was a little excited. It's only later on I realized that I am actually looking at a Canadian website of Fidelity and not a US based website. So yes, unless you have a special ability to trade on Canadian exchange, unfortunately, as a US investor, you gotta wait. You gotta wait out. And I don't even know if on a Canadian, I think, yeah, if you have an exchange, if some of you can trade the products listed on Canadian exchange, maybe we can get an exposure to this. But rather than for a retail investor getting exposure to this, I'm waiting for the spot Bitcoin for institution investors to get exposure to this one, because that's going to be huge for the overall ecosystem. Well, we've been waiting for now 4 years now, 4+ years, guess, few more years to wait. Don't know when SEC will look at a spot ETF as a and approve it for everyone. I really don't get it, because the future, an ETF based on futures has already been approved, and the futures, if there is a market manipulation, is there concerns around market manipulation on the spot Bitcoin ETF side? So if a spot can be manipulated, well, it'll also have impact on futures. So anyway, not here to debate it is right or wrong. I guess the folks at SEC know what they're doing, and like time and time again, Gary Gensler will come and say, first is investor protection. I don't know which investor they're trying to protect. As an investor, I think this will be a good thing, but we'll see. We gotta wait. In US, not happening. Looks like not happening anytime sooner. But up north, this is Fidelity. This is, I think, the third or fourth spot-based Bitcoin ETF that's getting launched in Canada. So, sorry, go ahead, Sam.
The SEC doesn't know what it's doing. If the SEC knew what it's doing, almost all the Chinese corporations wouldn't have been listed, because they do not conform to the codes that is set, like accounting codes, for listing on the exchanges.
So today's news, so very timely topic you brought up. Today's news, I think SEC is now finalizing its regulations, because Congress had passed the bill last year or earlier this year. And
well, excuse me. Actually, I studied this 15 years ago.
No, so I think it was earlier this year when the Congress has passed a bill saying if they don't, the foreign listed companies have to comply with, or the auditors of the foreign listed companies have to be audited or inspected by the accounting board of US. And if not, then by I think they gave 2 or 3 years for the companies to comply, and then left it to SEC and the enforcement wings to figure out how to implement the law. So today, and that's what I'm saying, it's a very timely question. Today, SEC has come up with in terms of how they want to enforce it. And that's why I saw a lot of Chinese companies, there was a weakness in all the Chinese ADRs that are traded in US exchanges. You look at NEO, you look at Bitcoin, while the rest of the stock market was higher today, all the Chinese stocks were in, were red. I think one of the reasons is because now SEC has given more clarity around how they want to enforce it. Right? So now it means there will be the enforcement wing of SEC will now start to go after, these companies to bring them under compliance within whatever 2 or 3, whatever time they have. So we'll see. But sometimes I feel, who is SEC trying to protect? Are they trying to protect the incumbent banks? Are they trying to protect the Wall Street firms? Because they all have been left behind in the crypto world. It's the retail investors, or the more of a retail investor who actually were ahead in the game as far as the crypto is concerned, and all the big and institution money only came in later. So I don't know who is SEC trying to protect, but those things are not in my hand. So we got to wait and see. But yeah, today I saw news around SEC finalizing how they want to go and enforce and implement the law, which will bring in the auditors and the books of Chinese companies. They have to open it up for the accounting, the PAOB, right? For accounting oversight board. Otherwise, if they don't, then they'll have to delist. If these stocks get listed in Hong Kong, will US stockholders get shares in Hong Kong market? I don't know, really. I haven't even thought about or looked around what will happen. So if they get delisted here, I mean, if they get listed in Hong Kong, I guess we'll have to buy it separately in Hong Kong, because I don't think these two will be connected in any way. If they get delisted from the exchange, probably they will then get traded in an OTC market. But then the OTC market is not that liquid. So when I say delisted, it means they won't be trading on exchange, but they probably will continue to be traded on the pink sheet markets, right? Just like some of those companies that were embroiled in some scams, like Luckin Coffee, they were delisted from NASDAQ. But then you will continue to see the trading happening on those shares, because they will still continue to trade on the OTC market, and they will have that listed as a .Y or .F or FY. They get some different, they'll append a couple of alphabets behind the regular stock ticker. So my thinking so far is that if, say, let's say Baba or Neo or one of these big Chinese company, Baidu, they get delisted because they are not following their law, then they'll probably trade in the OTC market. But the problem in trading in the OTC market and not on the regular exchanges is a lot of mutual funds, a lot of institutional money, they're bound by their charters that they will only invest in the instruments which are traded on exchanges, right? Or they are prohibited from investing in pink sheets or OTC market instruments. And again, if they are on OTC, then I don't think there will be any options on it. So the liquidity becomes a major issue if you're get out of exchange and trade only in the OTC markets. So that's my thought, is they probably will still be traded in OTC market. So Zifty says, I don't think they will open the book to the US delisting. Then, then that may be the case. Or will, I think, to me, delisting seems to be really very strong one. Maybe we'll figure it out in a couple of, we still have, I think it's, this rule applies in 2023 or 24. So still got a couple of years for a US and Chinese regulators to figure out. I mean, anyway, currently also, the way these Chinese, again, we are now way out of the crypto market, but let's talk about it because you asked the question. So even now also, the way these Chinese scripts get listed is through the variable interest entities, something called VIE structure, right? In which we don't have any operational say on how, let's say, Baba may be run. even though we may be holding the shares of Baba, but we don't have any operational say on or any operational control as a shareholder on Baba. And this is how the Chinese government told them that if you want to go and raise money outside of China, you can't give your control. So they have to go through the VIE structure. So all we get to enjoy is maybe the price appreciation and if any dividends. But even though if I hold 25% of Baba, I wish sometimes I may, but even if I hold 25%, I have a zero control or zero impact on how the company will be operated. So those, I mean, even now also, I mean, that's how the Chinese stocks are listed on US exchanges. Well, they already announced that they don't want US investors. It might be coming from the CCP, but I think even now, the depth in the US capital market, I mean, there's no other market which is bigger and deeper than the US capital market. But we'll see. I mean, if Hong Kong coming up and China themselves, they were bringing up the Star Exchange in Shanghai, they become financial centers, then yeah, many of these Chinese stocks, they'll find, or Chinese companies could find another place to raise money. I mean, even when all this back and forth was going on, we still saw a lot of Chinese companies coming and raising money here.
Vivek, Hong Kong Stock Exchange and New York Stock Exchange, they're competing to be the largest. So that's why, the regulators just gave it a pass.
Yeah, I mean, there is always this risk around regulators and the government risks in investing in Chinese securities. We don't know what will they do when. In Chinese government now exerting more and more pressure on Hong Kong as well. Maybe they'll force these companies to get listed in Hong Kong. Right? Alibaba is not even listed in China. So the Chinese investors, Chinese residents, they can't invest in Alibaba. It's because it's not listed on Chinese exchange. It's listed on Hong Kong exchange. So yeah, Zifty, the writing is on the wall. I do hope that you're wrong, but you know, it's good. We shouldn't ignore it. And I acknowledge that this is a risk.
I mean, would anybody seriously invest in Chinese companies anymore? I mean, there's so much risk there and uncertainty. Like, you can get a good return with US stocks and crypto. Like, why would you bother?
The idea is which economy is growing next, right? US next year, US is expected to grow 4%, which is itself is higher because the base we will be growing from a lower base from this year, right? Generally, all the developed countries are growing at 1%, 2%. So where do you go? The growing economies are the developing side, which is China, India. You know, Europe is also it's not growing that. So, and
Chris, I find the U.S. Securities too lofty, too expensive.
Yeah, they've been expensive for a while now.
So,
we've been waiting for me, it's like last 3 years it's been expensive, but but still continue to be expensive.
We got one break in March 2020, but then it went right back up.
Yeah, that was basically an exogenous, a completely different scenario. But even otherwise, you know, after that, because of all the quantitative easing, the market continued to went higher. Again, the whole idea is, as long as, and I'm with Zifty saying the writing could be on wall, because China is working really, really hard to get to have their trading partners adopt yuan and not trade in US dollars, right? So today we got a hegemony because the US dollars is the world's reserve currency. And but if it's a lot more and more trades start to happen in yuan, then yeah, the writing will be on the wall. So I'm not predicting any doom and say, but it's good to be aware of and start, keep in the back of our mind on how to start de-risking. If you have a Chinese securities, I hold in my portfolio. They're all in red. But how do we de-risk it, right? So I've been focused on reducing my cost basis on those, rather than trying to sell. Okay, I will reduce my cost of ownership. All right. So from Canada, we went to China. So now let's go to LATAM. Fresh off the press, today's news is one of my favorite companies in LATAM, Mercado Libre. And now I love them even more because now they're also enabling all their users of their payment platform, which is Mercado Pago. We talked about it a lot during our Saturday stock discussions. Today they announced they will allow their users to basically buy some cryptos right out of their Mercado Pago platform. Is it exciting for me as a shareholder of Mercado Libre? Been liking this company. Been in this for a few years. Love this company. Great for those who don't know what Mercado Libre, or probably attend only the crypto one. And because if you've been attending the Saturday session, I've talked about this company multiple times. But Mercado Libre, for those who don't know about it, it's Latin America's Amazon plus eBay plus PayPal. So, and they got a lot of other stuff going around with them. It's one of the biggest e-commerce, more than e-commerce last 1 year. Their payments platform has taken off like a fire. And then they got their logistics. Now they're moving to financial services. Tremendous tailwinds behind this company. So I've been, I like this company. And today I like it even more. So today they announced that on their payments platform, Mercado Pago, there will be an opportunity for the Brazilian customers to buy, sell, and hold Bitcoin, Ethereum, and stablecoin USDP. The USDP is being issued through Paxos, and the Paxos is the same company that is also helping the PayPal behind the scenes on their crypto offering. Right. So Paxos is a I would say a crypto economy company. And they enable a lot of these fintech firms so that these fintech firms can do crypto offerings for their own customers right now. So PayPal worked with Paxos. Now Mercado Libre is also working with Paxos to allow the users of Mercado Pago to buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, and USDP. Exciting news. This is I would say this is the biggest e-com player in Latin America. Ramesh says, but Melee stock is down. Yes, it's down because of, along with all the other payment company stocks, Square, PayPal. Are you buying more? Yes, I did. So because I'm still bullish on Mercado Libre as a company, even before this news. So I haven't seen anything changing from their business perspective. So we looked at their recent quarterly results, right? Whenever the results came out. Of course, if you compare it with 2020, yeah, the growth rate has slowed down as compared to 2020, but that's expected, right? Otherwise, from a business strategy perspective, I don't see any change. So I continue to stay bullish on Mercado Libre. What else? Next topic I want to talk about, which then we'll also get into the scam stuff, is a lot of DeFi projects. Right? We hear many times new DeFi projects coming in, new ways to do yield farming, which will give us, gargantuan interest, 100% interest, 500% interest, and all that. Again, I would caution everyone in be careful whenever you're trying to invest or go through other new DeFi projects. Always go with the one which have been around for some time because they have been time tested. At the end of the day, it's a code, and every code will have bugs. And doesn't matter how much testing you have done in your internal environment, unless it has been baked in a real life production, there is always will be a loopholes. So in August, we saw a DeFi hack, which was the biggest one till now, which was $600 million hack of a Poly network. That was the biggest crypto theft in history. After that, there was a lot of twist and turn in this story because the hacker actually returned 600 million. Story for another time. But the fact that that they were able to find a loophole in how the bridging happened in the whole DeFi system, and were able to take $600 million worth of crypto assets is telling. So any new project, that is why I'm generally very concerned about anyone asking why you're not investing in, say, let's say any new DeFi project coming in. I'm in no hurry. I want someone else to lose their money or try it out and make sure, fix all the issues in the platform or all the bugs in the platform before I want to put my money in. So today we saw another one, which is Badger. And the Badger, it's a DAO. So this is badger.com, and I had no idea. And again, you can earn interest on your Bitcoin, a lot of stuff that you can do on DeFi. Actually, I did stake some more in Aave. I use Aave because that's, been around for some years. So I use Aave and to stake and maybe earn interest or take loans, etc. You can do the same stuff on Badger. But this is a pretty new app. Gotta be careful. And today we saw that there was another hack on Badger, which the hacker made away with $120 million worth of assets. That includes, I think, a bunch of Bitcoin and Ethereum. Earlier, they reported that it was $10 million. But now if you total up everything, it comes out to $120 million. Almost 2,000 Bitcoins and 151 Ethereum were drained out from this DeFi smart contract. It's crazy. I hope none of you had staked your crypto assets here. And many of these new platforms will offer very attractive interest rates because they want to increase the TVL, total value log, and they'll offer very attractive and sometimes seem impossible levels of interest rates for you to stake. But then we run into these issues. So be very, very careful, around any of the new DeFis. And with every blockchain, have a new DeFi coming up. I mean, these are the pretty standard operating process for any blockchain. Create a blockchain, create a DeFi exchange, create a stable coin, create an NFT, and next is a gaming. Right? These 5 have taken this whole crypto economy by fire, and these are like some of the sure shot signs that if you have these applications on your blockchain, there'll be increase in adoption. Right? So any new blockchain coming in, we'll see the new DEXs. People start talking about when is the new DEX coming up. Right, Solana, okay, what's your new DEX on Solana or Algorand or whatever, right? Cardano's and all that. You got a new DEX, you got a new NFT exchange, then you're gonna have your earned, earned by gaming and all that stuff. But gotta be careful. Yeah, Sherry says higher APY equal to higher risk. Exactly. So nothing is free. Yeah. And now, so the interesting part of the story is also that after this hack, kind of a hack was detected, so it looks like the malicious code was there for some time. It's only the money was drained out today. But after this hack was detected, the developers to stop the execution of the smart contract, something like that, so that it, no more additional funds could be drained out of it. So now that raises another question: is it's supposed to be a DAO? I mean, how come a bunch of developers could do whatever they wanted to do? Is it really decentralized? If a bunch of developers can go and stop the smart contract, and then what if those bunch of developers can also then be regulated and can do something which any government mandates, right? So do your own study. Now I don't really think that it's actually it's DAO. Then who else had a say in this one? Why only the bunch of developers were able to take this action, even though in this case the action was in good faith? It's a good for the ecosystem. Later on, who knows? The developers could have a change. So be careful. Sam says bought another Baba call option contract. Right now the premiums are super juicy, so you're paying too much for that. What does oversold means? With respect to what? Oversold generally in terms means is, hey, it has basically gone down way more than what it should have gone down, right? People or the investors or the traders have sold considering whatever they have, the outlook, and then they sold a lot more. So oversold means now it's been sold a lot, probably now it will basically come back up. So generally when I say it's oversold, it means it's now the future looks to be that is going to go up. So till date, the sum of all the hacks in DeFi this year is almost $10.5 billion. I don't want to be the one contributing in this $10.5 billion. So yeah, stay with the reputed ones. This is wild, wild west. You don't have much recourse if your crypto assets get stolen. And that is why, if you're not comfortable with that, maybe stick to GBTCs. Or I still say don't go with that future-based ETF. That's a pathetic instrument. But maybe then stick to GBTC or GTHE or whatever other trust.
I'm sorry, what I really new. What is this? What does that mean? DBSC, etc.
Sorry, so I don't know, Robin either. So GBTC is your Grayscale Bitcoin trust, right? In which you don't have to manage anything, but of course you have to pay a little higher than what the market price could be, or maybe I don't know if it is on a discount or not. But basically, it's a trust. Grayscale is a trust. It's a company which will basically buy and hold the crypto assets, and then you can buy it's the equivalent of a mutual fund. And you can buy these GBTC. Let me just bring that up in your brokerage account. So let's look at GBTC. Is it trading premium? It's still on a discount. So if you go to let's say GBTC stock. Right now, at what price is it trading at? It's trading at $45.39. So Grayscale has got, but let's go back here to Grayscale has got $50 billion asset under management. And I don't know how much is the GBTC out of that. All products. On. All right. There we go. They got a GBTC. They started this in 2013. Doesn't show me how much is that overall.
So do they invest every if you put an additional dollar in there, then do they in turn match that? You know, they then put that extra dollar in to the investment in the coin, or is it not tied?
No, so the way it's not. So the way it works is, especially these trusts, because this is not an ETF. The way these trusts works is they would have raised money earlier, and they would have raised money from institutional investors, and then they go ahead and buy the Bitcoin. Okay, whatever the underlying, if it is a decentralized or Ethereum, they'll go and buy the underlying crypto asset. But then the institutional investors have a holding period and they cannot sell it prior to that. Right? Generally, it is 6 months. And after 6 months, those units of GBTC or GETHE, then the institutions are allowed to sell it, and then they become available to be traded onto the exchanges through basically it's on again OTC markets. So now if you're buying anything, they're not going to go and buy a new Bitcoin. But if the Bitcoin price goes higher, the GBTC holdings will benefit from it, because all those holdings are backed by a Bitcoin which Grayscale holds in their cold wallets. So that's how the GBTC works, because it's a trust. If it gets converted to an ETF, they have opened up an application for ETF. Then as and when you and I, we could go and buy it on exchange, they will have to basically go and buy it on the, buy the Bitcoin from the crypto markets. So this is
it's a one-to-one connection.
Yeah, then it will basically start tracking it very closely to the Bitcoin price. But today, this is not an ETF, so you would see, and we had seen that earlier, sometimes it trades to a premium. And way back in January, institutions paid like 40% more to buy these units of a GBTC than if they could have bought the Bitcoin directly from the market. But right now it's trading at discount. Right? So because it's a trust, it sometimes trade on a premium, sometimes trade on a discount. And it is not just with this. I mean, this is because of the structure of the instrument. But if it becomes ETF, then it will start trading very closely to the real Bitcoin spot price. And that is why, now they want to convert it to ETF, because now there are many other companies that have started giving exposure to institutions around the crypto economy, that they don't have that monopoly anymore. And that's why it is now being trading on discount. And that's why now they want to convert it into ETF. So like I said at the beginning, I don't know when the SEC will actually approve an ETF based on spot Bitcoin. So it's a long wait. We got to wait.
You said there's no ETFs in the US? I thought I'd read, I don't know, 6 months ago that there was one that had started. Is that not?
No, but that's based on not the spot Bitcoin. That's based on Bitcoin futures.
Oh.
Yeah. So US SEC, today SEC rejected from Wisdom Tree. They had a last date to approve or reject it. Today they rejected spot Bitcoin ETF application. And that is why Fidelity has gone to Canada, because Canadian regulators, they have allowed. US regulators, nope. Brazilian, yes. So we are kind of a sandwich in between. South of us, Brazil allows spot Bitcoin based ETF. North of us, Canada allows it. US doesn't allow it. US only allows a future based, an ETF based on Bitcoin futures and not the Bitcoins, the asset, not the spot Bitcoin.
So how many ETFs are there that trade on Bitcoin futures?
I think
other
right now there
crypto
are
futures?
two are already trading. Let's because the recent one was from Pro Shares. That's when the Bitcoin went high. But after that, one more got a week after that, one more started trading. After that, then I stopped tracking it because hey, it doesn't matter. Bitcoin futures ETF in USA. Okay, what does it tell me? Second one came in. Okay, 15 are pending. So there are at least like 14, 15 which are waiting. There are many. I think for now, yeah, Valkyrie is the one BTF. Yes, that is trading. The first one is BITO, which was the first from Pro Shares. Valkyrie is also listed. VanEck, I thought VanEck basically withdrew their application, or maybe it does trade. Looks like it does trade. Okay, this also trades. I remember one of them, they withdrew their application. Don't know which, maybe that was a State Street. Yeah, so there are a bunch, but they all are based on, they call themselves Bitcoin ETF, but you got to dig deeper to see what's the underlying. Either it could be a Bitcoin futures, or it could be companies that invest in Bitcoin, right? They might pick up MicroStrategy. They might pick up Tesla. They might pick up Square. Square has very little amount of Bitcoin. So we got to be careful to understand what the underlying holding is, because as of now, there's no ETF that trades on US which actually holds spot Bitcoin. Zilch, zero. SEC has not approved anything.
And none for any other cryptos either, right?
None for any other crypto. I mean, there are not many applications for other crypto anyway. There's only Bitcoin ETF applications. I don't.
I thought there were a whole bunch of other cryptos.
No, spot ETF. I think maybe Ethereum's got a spot ETF, but I don't think, because I don't think.
I didn't mean ETFs. I was saying a lot of other crypto coins out there. Yeah.
Yeah, coins that are trading on exchanges. Oh, yeah, but we've been talking about the ETF, because if there's an ETF available, a lot of a pension fund money, endowment funds money, retirement fund money, CalPERS money could start to flow into these assets. Those big institution money, they cannot invest directly into coins. Their charter doesn't allow them. But all of them can invest in an ETF. Your financial advisors, right? Let's say if a financial advisor work with the money managers, they have all the systems set up to invest in any ETF, but they don't have a system set up to invest in coins and then give a reports and then how do they charge and all that stuff, right? So if the spot ETF gets approved, it'll be great. We've got to wait and see.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time.
It's a matter of, yeah, but it's been quite long. I mean, eventually it will, because all the other regulators, they have been approving it. So we saw Fidelity goes to Canada. We also saw, I think, one more institution. They actually opened up an exchange traded product in Europe, because in Europe, you can do ETPs based on spot Bitcoin, just not in US. So like I said, it will take time. It will take time. You want to take baby steps, start with the futures, and maybe then they'll do a spot. So I'm patient. We'll wait whenever that comes.
Now, is there any reason, I mean, if we wanted to, we could open an account in Canada, couldn't we, or could we?
I mean, if you could, yeah, then yes. I don't know. I haven't even tried. So if you could trade in on the Canada, so there was the Pro Shares is, I think that's a no, not Pro Shares. Pro Shares is US. Purpose is Canadian based, and maybe 3IQ is Canada. I don't know. But yeah, if you can trade on Canadian exchange, you can get exposure to those.
I mean, a number of years ago, I was trading crypto, not crypto, I was trading trading currencies.
Mhm.
And for a while, it was much more advantageous to have an open account in Europe than in the US, because there are various restrictions in the US. And it wasn't that big a deal. It was sort of extra paperwork, but it wasn't that difficult. It took a long time to get approved, but for a while I had an account with a Swiss firm, the big Swiss firm, and then there's a big firm in London.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, I haven't tried that at the Canada, but anyway, I mean, even if it's allowed, I wouldn't want to buy an ETF because, hey, I will rather take a direct exposure to Bitcoin itself, but it will be great for the institution's adoption and great for the overall ecosystem. That's what I'm waiting for. Someone, I think, Sam, you brought up around the scams. So I want to maybe share something with the group. For the first time, I did my own study around the scam. So the way I got introduced to this scam was I was driving back after the Thanksgiving holiday. So on 101, it was too much of a traffic, and I was like driving at 15 miles. There's a huge, Google map shows a huge, long traffic, all the red, the whole highway was showing is red. I'm like, what else should I do? And then it's the first time I actually used Twitter Spaces. I never used Spaces. So I thought maybe let me just find out what folks are talking about. And then I saw one space which talks about the headline was, the heading of that space was, what's your crazy crypto story? I'm like, wow, that'll be fun to hear some crazy crypto stories while you're driving in the traffic. So I actually joined that spaces. And then I realized, okay, how these coins get pumped up, right? So they were talking about this token called Saitama. So, yeah, Saitama token. I had never heard of that before. And then I could hear some people coming and talking about how it has changed their lives, and some testimonies. And then they were giving some giveaway and talking about their meetings in Vegas and whatnot, right? All essential about this. This is going to be the next great thing in the life, and how are they going to change the world? I'm like, so looks like this is how maybe the whole pumps happen in all the coins like Doge or Shiba or whatever. So once I reached home, I thought maybe I'll have a look at it, right? Because based on what I heard on the spaces, to me, it looks like somebody's just trying to pump it up. Maybe if it's such a great, maybe I'll have an opportunity to get it at, under 1/1000th of a penny. If it is really something behind this, I don't want to dismiss it outright. So I came and looked at their website. I'm like, okay, let's look at their ecosystem, what they talk about, what this company does, right? No one is talking about what the project is about. So when I start looking at this, this is how I'm like, we identify that, is there any real meat behind this, or is it just pumping down? So on the ecosystem, that's all I see on their ecosystem. You can go to their website. I probably will go to their website as well. And looking at their ecosystem, where is that? 2% every transaction is deducted and redistributed to the pool of holders, right? All they're trying to do is just by holding it, you get 2% of every transaction that happen. We're gonna burn 2% of the transactions, means we're gonna take the token supply out of market. And this whole burn stuff, after the Ethereum had implemented 5059, many of the blockchain developers are now figured out, my gosh, we want to just pump up the price of our asset. Let's talk about burning it. And I hate those because, hey, come on, let's talk about how you can build more value in this one. But people do want to increase the value by burning it. So I'm sort of looking at, okay, they say we're going to burn it.
SARTAMI.
And the lastly is the anti-whale trap. means we've coded it in a way such that it will prevent big wallet holders from dumping the token by selling out. I'm like, only thing they talk on ecosystem is how you will gain if you hold these stock tokens, right? The classic telltale signs that stay away from this. I'm like, okay, let me see who are, what else do they do? Do they have a white paper that I can look at? What is that they even started? Why did they even start this coin? Right. So then I looked at what their white paper was, and let's see. So open this white paper, and I'm like, okay, first of all, looking at this white paper itself, I'm like, this doesn't even seem to be a genuine one, right? I've never seen this looks like more of a pamphlet than any a normal white paper. And then I started reading it. Why even this coin was created? Like, young people inherit a broken world with the multiple crises that need to be solved, and they don't know how to do it. So we're gonna teach them. This is what Saitama comes in. We provide them content on how money works, how they invest, blah 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 blah. And it's okay. With this vision, we created Saitama in May 2021. Passionate community came together. We did this, and then they start talking about we'll have like a MetaMask, we'll have a wallet, we'll have a market, we'll have an NFT market. Every blockchain will talk about NFTs, and then we'll talk about the gaming, trying to cover all the hot area or all the hot aspects of a blockchain. And then I'm looking at it. Okay, we looked at this. And token dynamics, tokenomics, all that works is an ERC token launched on Ethereum network on this. Now, roadmap, 1,000 holders, 6,000 holders, Telegram members, 40,000, 80,000, 200,000 holders. I'm like, what the heck are they trying to do? So these are like some of the telltale signs of, guys, stay away. And then I don't know where I found it. And then I found a couple of typos. You can follow these steps to buy our token directly through our website. To show our commitment, we start for, I'm like, this is junk. Right? This is how we should stay away. And, in 5 minutes, if you spend time on a website, you'll figure out that this is junk. I thought, okay, let me just look at who are the people behind this, and maybe if I encounter those people in some other project, my antenna should go up, right? So where is it? They had their team somewhere. They had their transparency, I guess. The team, and then I started looking at the teams. No LinkedIn, nothing. I couldn't find this person. An entrepreneur with 15 years of experience in developing this. Passion for community-based projects drive me to work harder to achieve my goals. Zilch. No LinkedIn, nothing else. And seems to be, 5 minutes, 10 minutes is spent, seems to very, very fishy. And there, I don't know, maybe the people who joined probably were part of it and trying to, ensnare other gullible investors, but some of them are saying, hey, I invested, I'm, $5,000, I scraped that from somewhere, and I'm hoping that to make some good amount of money. And I was thinking, dude, what the heck is happening? Just don't fall into those stuff. If it is too good to be true, if the only thing that people are talking about is how great how much money you'll make if you invest in our token, that's first sign that we should stay away from that token. Right? And then you come and spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes on the website. We'll figure out this is just a scam. So, but good or bad, my first Twitter space experience, learned with this. And this is what I learned. So now let's look at what is Saitama. What? And I never heard of that. And because I was in a car, I didn't have it. Now there are more Saitama's, baby, mini. I think this probably is the main Saitama X. So it looks like clearly pump and dump. So gone back to zeros. Lost 100% of value in 1 month. Another sign. Spend some time when you hear about any coins. Doesn't care who is talking about those. Even if I'm talking about some coins, spend some time. Go to the website. See what are they trying to do? What's their use case? There are many scams. Out of these, all the coins, half of them won't be around in a few years. Well, we got where's the total number? Yeah, we got 11,000 coins. Half of them won't be around. So it's important for us to do our own study to even understand what's this project trying to do. Is it even a legit one? There could be very many legit projects, but whose prices are depressed. That's okay. And there could be many scammed projects whose prices could have been pumped up in a near future, and that is not okay for us as an investor. Spend some time. Look at white paper. See what's happening. Is if the 80-90% won't be around. Yeah, they will be replaced by some of the other junk ones. But there will be some great projects that will come out of this. The key is to study enough, build enough conviction, and to hold those great projects through the ups and downs. The meltdown will happen. It has happened many times. The idea is that, hey, we don't invest in those shit coins. We pick up good projects, put some time in studying those, in following that, and then part with our dollars. That's how at least I want to do. So I thought I'll share my first experience of Twitter Spaces and what I learned from there. Saitama. So
Vivek.
Yeah.
Part of the show, whatever the broadcast of Bob Hodgkins or whatever the CEO of Cardano, he was talking about making Cardano a cryptocurrency of, I think, Ethiopia.
No, so it's not a cryptocurrency of Ethiopia. They have a project in
currency.
Ethiopia. Yeah, so they have a project in Ethiopia for providing digital credentials, your educational credentials. Put those educational credentials on blockchain for around 5 million students of Ethiopia. Right, that project was announced a month ago. Right, so that they signed a memorandum of understanding with Ethiopian education department. Now that means to build that, again, the token that gets used on that blockchain is their Cardano or ADA, right? Whether they'll use it as a currency, I don't know. I don't know what Ethiopian currency, do they have their own currency or they use US dollars? But I don't think ever I've heard any of the Cardano's talking about that they're going to replace it as a currency, but they do have a project in Ethiopia, which is and these are the interesting projects. These are the real world projects I want to hear about. And they better implement it, which is like using the blockchain technology to bring all the educational credentials, which will make sure that we get rid of fake credential problems. It's a big problem in developing and underdeveloped countries is you get a fake credential university certificate. And then the employers won't believe you, even if everyone is a genuine one. They probably won't believe you if you present saying, I graduated from this university, look at my certificate. How do they determine the authenticity of that certificate? Because there are many fakes moving around. That's where blockchain technology can help, because you can trace the lineage of it. And that's the project which probably Charles Hoskinson has been talking about. they actually they did some Cardano Africa or something, and this is one of the projects that they talked about a month ago. Okay? And that's a real application of using blockchain technology. Okay? Hope someone will implement it, but I don't think they have done that anything yet. But that's what he probably would have been talking about.
But where's the coin come in with that? I mean, so why the coin? I mean,
so for example, even though so many of these projects, right, you don't use it as your currency, but the coin comes in for you to use. So so at the end of the day, what is a blockchain? It's nothing but a space or internet-based ledger in which we record some data. Right now, that data gets recorded on multiples of computers. Right now, to pay for that, why would someone be willing to, number one, to build up systems to record it, and number two, to verify the transactions to make sure that those are not fraud? Someone needs those incentives. That's why this whole tokenomics have been created, to incentivize the participants in this blockchain to secure the blockchain. That is why, let's say, the validators do the role of validating all the transactions. To validate the transactions, they need to spend some computing power. They need to run a validator node. Why would I do it if there is nothing in it for me? What's in it for me is, if I validate this, I'll be awarded with, you can call it, don't call it as a currency. I'll be awarded with a digital, something which has got some value. In this case, these are the crypto assets. That's why I generally call them as assets rather than calling as a currencies, because their use case may not be even currency. So I'll be awarded with those crypto token, and that crypto token has got a value because this ecosystem is growing. So all these tokenomics are based on this principle. Otherwise, how would you get people who are unrelated to each other and have them behave honestly to verify the transactions and to keep the network secure? So that's this whole blockchain is if you go back and study the whole blockchain concept, is a combination of Byzantine generals problem and game theory. So that's where they use the concepts of game theory to incentivize the validators to validate the transactions and make sure if there is any malicious one coming in there, they highlight it. And for doing their job, they need to get rewarded. They get rewarded in the tokens of that blockchain, and the token will increase in value if the blockchain is really used for these purposes, which which the world needs. So that's where those tokens come into picture.
But how does the reward come in there? So do they get like some token or a fraction of a token for every verification?
Yeah, so let's say in case of a proof of work, right? In proof of work, the rewards comes in that's how the Bitcoin or any other proof of work blockchain. That's how the new asset or coin is created and circulated. So whoever is able to verify the transactions and add it into the block, that miner is rewarded with a new token, additional token. So today, the reward for miner for verifying the transactions and adding into a block in a Bitcoin block is 6.25 Bitcoins. Today,
wait. The reward, I must be misunderstood. The reward for verifying a transaction is multiple Bitcoins, worth tens of thousands each. Wait, I don't know.
So,
or is that the reward for running one server? Or what was that for?
No, it's not one server, right? The miners have to run a warehouse full of servers, because there are multiple miners who will be competing to add a transaction in a blockchain. And that is why the network become more and more secure, because if you want to overtake that, we need to build so much of a computing power to overtake at least 50% of the overall miners. So let me give another example, which is probably easier to understand, is a proof of stake. So
proof of what?
Proof of stake, S-T-A-K-E. So there are two ways.
Of stake.
Yeah, there are two ways of on which many of these blockchains work. I mean, then there are other forms of them: delegated proof of stake, pure proof of stake. I won't get into the details of that, but the two big ones are proof of work and proof of stake. Bitcoin works on a proof of work model. The Ethereum today works on a proof of work model, but they are moving towards proof of stake model, which will happen sometime in 2022. In a proof of stake model, you basically lock your own tokens. You have to own enough of those tokens, and those will be locked. So if you, as a validator, do wrong thing, will basically take away your tokens from you. So you have a stake in this game, and that's called proof of stake, because you are staking your tokens to become a validator. If you do a good job, you will be awarded something. But if you do a bad job, the technical term is called, it's a slashing. Your tokens will be slashed. So that is why, and to pay to these miners and to those who are supporting this overall blockchain, you need to pay them or incentivize them. That's why these tokens are created. And that's what we call as a gas fee. We pay them as a gas fee. It means you have to basically burn those, you pay those tokens to them. So just read more about how the tokenomics work. And that's where the need of these tokens are coming up. Okay. So we were talking about Cardano. So so on Ethiopia, they have a real use case. When they will implement, I don't know. But that's the use case he may be talking about. But Sam, you're right. There are from scam types, what you're referring to, and you and I had a chat on Twitter, was these are very common scams which called token giveaways, right? Forget about Charles Hoskinson. I've seen Chamath and a bunch of others, pro-Bitcoiners in a conference. And what these scammers will do, that in a portion of their overall video, they'll run this conference on the side. In the rest of the screen, they'll show messages saying, hey, if you send us point, if you, whatever coin you send us, we'll send you double, right? And then there may be any, all those scammers, and their group probably will be putting in a chat saying, hey, thank you. I sent you one asset. I got 2 back. Great. And thank you. Jesus will save the world. You saved my life and all that. This is a pretty common scam on YouTube which is around, token giveaways. Or even if it is a live event happening, anyone can, now most of them are streamed. Once you got a streaming of it, you can build anything around it to make it look like a legit. And many of them probably will look like a legit because the scammers know what they're doing. So they'll make it look like a legit. But no token of any good value will ever give giveaways. So if there is actually you find someone actually doing a giveaways, which is different from airdrops. If they say, you give me 1 token, I'll give you 2, just run away from it. Stay away from those. I haven't encountered any genuine giveaway. There are a lot of scammy stuff. So that's another type of scam I've seen.
Because Vivek, Kai and his friends on the other board were saying that people were giving away Bitcoin like a long time ago.
That's different, right? It's safe. If they give you and not asking you to give something, that's different. So that is, I said, airdrops happen. Even today, airdrops happen. So what Kai may be talking about was like 5, 6, 7 years ago, when the early enthusiasts in the Bitcoin community wanted to increase the adoption of the Bitcoin, and they were happily would distribute Bitcoin to anyone who's just ready to try it, right? Guess one of my friends was in there, and I would have generally got in maybe way early. If someone would have told me, hey, do you want to try it? Just download this app and I'll send you something which is called Bitcoin. He's not asking me to send anything, right? And then I'll take it. These giveaway scams that I'm talking about is they'll ask you to send a token and say, we'll double it or whatever. We'll send you back 1.5 times. Once you send it, it's gone. is never coming back. But someone sending you without asking you or me to send, those are, I would say, those probably are still okay. Airdrops happen all the time. Any of the projects, they'll do an airdrop. Means if you are, let's say, holding a particular asset and they do an airdrop, means everyone who's holding that asset in the wallet will suddenly see they got, let's say, 1% more. That's okay. They didn't ask me to send anything. So, but if there is any project which is asking me to send anything and in return I'll get something, I'll run away from them. So that's the difference. So what Kai may be mentioning is years ago, and it's pretty common. I met one of my friends who was earlier involved in those, and he received it. He's like, I met someone who told me, try this thing out. And at that point of time, they actually built up a mining rig on Raspberry Pi. You can't do that anymore. So yeah, that's still okay. Any other scams that you guys have figured out? All right, so we are almost 7:27, which is our end of our session. But before I close today's session, maybe we want to seek some feedback on what project do you want to cover for the next session. Is there any specific project that you have in mind? They want to go deep dive? Because last time someone brought up Cadena, so I did a deep dive on Cadena, and then I hope that was useful. We did a deep dive on a Decentraland, Mana. I hope that was useful. And if there's any interest, want me to look at some specific project, do let me know. And we'll probably cover that in the next meeting. After Bob covers how to invest crypto in your IRA account. And then I'll talk about that particular project. So let me know any project you have in mind.
I'll track that down, but it may take a while. By the way, those last few educational examples are really great. The earlier stuff I couldn't quite understand.
Sure. No, you're welcome, Bob. Yeah, I mean, it takes time. This is pretty new field, and it's a little bit, out of this world. So, but you're at the right place. If you're interested in learning, keep your eyes and ears open. There's a lot of stuff available on YouTube to learn about this crypto economy. Cheryl says Phantasma. Is this is a separate? So
what is Sandbox, Chris? Is
Sandbox. Yeah, Sandbox. And because I had done Decentraland, so I did do Sandbox, but both are, I guess, of a similar stuff. Sandbox is virtual gaming platform like or a virtual metaverse built on blockchain, just like Decentraland is. So yeah, okay.
So Sandbox is gaming, or is that some sort of educational thing to teach you?
So Sandbox is creating a metaverse on blockchain, just like Decentraland is. And this has seen some amazing growth in the last few days. It was like $3 to, it's almost double. But again, Sandbox, Decentraland, they all virtual spaces have been on fire after the Facebook changed the name to Metaverse. And I think recently, yesterday, day before, the most expensive plot was bought on Decentraland. Someone paid a few $1 million to buy a virtual land. So I thought some old wisdom say you should invest in land because you cannot create more. But if it is in virtual, you can create whatever you want to. But but this sector is super hot right now. Okay, so I got 2 on my list, so I'll cover one of them next week. Thank you. All right.
By the way, do you have an email or somewhere I can contact you?
You can just ping me on the meetup itself.
Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, you want to email me, that's fine too. Let me just type my email here. You can drop me email here, or you can message me on the meetup as well. Cool. All right. Any last minute questions? Anything else that caught your eye? Want to talk about it?
Yeah. So Vivek, you don't like Saitama. Are there any early altcoins you do recommend?
I don't recommend anything, but there are some altcoins that I've been interested in. Things like, of course, Ethereum, Solana, but you need to understand what's the pros and cons of each one of them, right? So maybe I can talk about a few of them, but I don't think I will pick up anything which is way early, right? So Solana is fastest one, but little centralized one because they got only 20 validators, and you can't become a validator. You need to have a big hardware. So there is a little bit of risk of centralization, but if it's okay, because there are a lot more projects who would be okay with that. And that's why the ecosystem is growing. They got a lot more institution money, VC money flowing into Solana. So I think this will still be around. Cardano, lot of I would say rosy roadmaps, but have yet to see the ecosystem build. Applications to be built on ecosystem recently got hyped up because of the smart contract platform available, but they don't have a DEX yet, which is expected to arrive end of November. Hasn't happened. End of December. I don't know whether that will happen or not. So, but their roadmap is great, but they've been taking all the time in the world. XRP probably has been the oldest one. I would stay away from this one because it's under SEC investigation. Polkadot, bullish on this one because this actually gives you a platform for building blockchains, which is great. Eventually, if you think about 20 years later, creating blockchains will become as simple as creating websites. Then the Polkadot could be a Wix.com. Right. So going back 30 years ago, if you have to create a website, you have to learn HTML or the tools that Microsoft had created. I remember there used to be Microsoft front page. I use that. Today, you go to Wix.com, you can create drag and drop, and you just create a website. If blockchain economy takes off, which I think it will, 20 years down the line, any tools that provide you for anyone to create blockchain whole ecosystem easily should be available. Polkadot is building those, right? Dogecoin is a meme coin. You're interested in meme coins? Go ahead. But I think recently Dogecoin have started to do some real work, and at least some of the meme companies have started to accept Dogecoin. So it is based more on a momentum. Terra Luna is an interesting buy, not buy, but an interesting project because they got a, algorithmic based stable coin. And this is backed by a company which has got some e-commerce business in South Korea. But most of the recent run-up has been on their token burn and on the stability of their algorithmic based stable coin. Avalanche is another competitor of call as Ethereum, like same as Solana, same as Cardano. Avalanche is the same stuff. Or that we are faster. We have another blockchain. They got a DEX on it. Now they're gonna get an NFT on it. Right? Polygon is a side chain which will make Ethereum go faster. And when I do DeFi, I always use Polygon. Ethereum, I try to use Polygon as much as I can because Ethereum, the gas fee is just killing me. And I see more and more institutions actually using Polygon to do the transaction and avoid using Ethereum blockchain as much as possible. Right? Of course, if you have to do a final recording, you'll do that on Ethereum, but all the other work I can do on Polygon. Right? So they are building scalability, bringing scalability to Ethereum. Litecoin, I don't even know why Litecoin is there, but there are many other stuff like Shiba Inu and Dogecoin. Algorand is again a competitor for similar stuff like Avalanche and Polkadot. But one good thing I like about Algorand is the creator behind them, who is also the person who actually created zero knowledge proofs. So the way how Algorand is different from others is they kind of figured out how to make it faster without sacrificing decentralization, using it's not zero knowledge, I forgot, using the verifiable random functions, if I recall correctly. It's been a few months since I did a deep dive on this. And the main person behind this actually holds a patent on creating those verifiable random functions. And based on that, they've been able to make it faster without sacrificing decentralization. So the whole trilemma of scalability that we have talked about, somehow Algorand says that they have been able to break out of the trilemma. Recently, there's a lot of news around them tying up with many companies on their multiple blockchain initiatives, but yet to see projects coming up on this one. Right, so I'll go till 20. Chainlink is our connection between the blockchain world and the real world. If on a blockchain world becomes crypto economy grows up, becomes more successful, we will have projects in which I can place a bets on crypto betting platform, which will say that today Jets gonna win or 49ers will win. How do that information goes in a decentralized fashion without trusting any central authority that who won? That's where you will see these projects like Chainlink is one of them. There is another one, forgot the name, who is building Oracle. Can't recall right now. So those are called the oracles, means they will provide an information from the real world, give that information on the crypto economy, on the crypto blockchains, in a way in which you can trust that it has not been, without knowing the third party, you will be able to, be sure that this has not been tampered with, right? What if I want weather data? If I'm building an application on a blockchain to, let's say, do a parametric insurance, it's a real world use case. There's a company in New York which does that, right? Your insurance based on your weather data. Now, how do you get a weather data? I don't want to depend on weather.com. What if weather.com goes down, or what if weather.com itself becomes rogue? So that's where these oracles comes into picture. Chainlink is that oracle. Right? So, and that company which I was talking about, they actually work with Chain. Plus, not only Oracle, now they expanded into other functionalities as well. We talked about when we did a deep dive on Chainlink. So that's all on 21s, right? So that's spend some time in understanding the project. And yeah, that's all right. In 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I gave you my viewpoint on at least the top 20s. Right? If there is, yeah, we talked about Cadena. Was it last week? Or when was it?
By the way, any tips when you say searching for some good educational material on YouTube? I mean, I'm sure there'll be probably thousands of videos on Bitcoin,
yeah, so
on
YouTube
crypto.
So one resource that I use is called the YouTube channel called Coin Bureau. That guy, his name itself is Guy, based out of London. He does a good job of explaining the details of many crypto projects. It's called Coin Bureau, B-U-R-E. So yeah, I like this. It's a genuine, no no pump or nothing else, just talk about the various projects and give his thoughts on what he thinks, right? You may or
Okay,
may not
what-
agree.
What's that name again?
Sorry, I just pasted it in the chat. Coin Bureau. I like that
Sometimes
YouTube channel.
Coin Bureau.
Yeah.
BUREAU?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So prior to that, I'd followed box mining also, but 2016, 2017, that was more useful. Nowadays, they don't do good job, but I see Coin Bureau doing some good job. Right. Otherwise, most of the time, if you search for any coins, all you'll see is, oh, this is gonna go to moon, this will 10x, this will 100x, and I'm like, oh, no, I want to ignore all of them. I want to decide where it will go. You tell me what it does. So I find Coin Bureau is good. I don't know, anyone else follows any other YouTube channel where you find some good information and willing to share? Okay. So I start with, Coin Bureau like 20, 25 minutes. And then the other best thing is go to the website and then look at the project. Cool. All right. That's it for today. Thank you everyone for joining in. I'm glad to be back. We had a break, a Thanksgiving break. But good to be back. And let's talk again. I got two things, Phantasma and Sandbox. Let's see which one I will be able to cover next week. So
you meet every Thursday at the same time?
yes, Thursday, same time.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's not happening, then I'll cancel in the meetup. But I generally, if I'm around, then we will have the session.
Okay.
All right. If you're interested in stocks, etc., we meet every Saturday. Talk about stocks. We talk about options. Yeah. Outside of my job, this is what consumes most of my time. Is looking at, as a retail investor, looking at the stocks and the cryptos. We gotta do something outside of our jobs. Jobs won't keep up with 6.2 inflation rate. So hopefully cryptos and stocks will have. All right, I'll let you guys go. Thank you, everyone. Let's talk on Thursday. If you're attending the Saturday session, we'll talk about stocks on Saturday. Good night, everyone.
Saturday when?
Actually, Saturday 10 o'clock is a different break. So if you did you join through the meetup?
Yes.
Okay, so let me just there's a separate meetup. Hold on. Okay, let me just paste the link of that meetup. That we've been doing for more than a year. What's 111th session? Okay, so this is the group. So first I started with only with the stocks. We started to now we'll be in like 111th or 112th session. But then I realized that the crypto was growing up, started getting a lot of questions around crypto. And then I said, oh, you know what? Crypto itself is becoming a big economy. Let's separate it out. We'll talk stock separately. We'll talk crypto separately. And then hence we started doing a crypto sessions separately. So stocks I talk on Saturdays, cryptos on Thursdays. Cool. All right. Good night, everyone. We'll talk again. Bye-bye.
Good night.